we get to, like, we as humans love stories, right? We love them. I mean, who doesn't like a story, right? Stories are amazing. It's how we relate to each other. It's how we learn. They draw you in, right? You want to learn. There's like so much stuff, but we get to journey in stories. It's amazing. Yeah. So you'll get to the point, not all of you, but there are a number of you who will be really bored with your own story. Like, it'll agitate you. You're like, ugh. Like, I'm bored with this. Like, really, I keep hitting repeat on this story. Like, stop already. Okay?
Good one. Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with you. It's actually good. You're releasing layers of identity. Okay? So it's all right that you go through that. It's not really what you're seeking is the clarity of like, why am I holding this story? Like, what is it? You know what I mean? It's like, what's the distortion pattern, the rule sets, all that stuff behind it that causes the story to be here. And I don't want that anymore.
Yeah.
Because it's not me anymore.
All story is typically an identity piece, right?
Yes.
And then there's another layer you're saying beyond that, typically. Yeah. So I'm thinking for me, you know, I've noticed this.
Yeah.
You're right on there.
Yeah.
Like, you know, speaking, I'm not a water person. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
or whatever it is that you say. It's like, wow, I say this like all the time. What is even this about? You know?
Yeah.
Yes, and then check in,
Yeah.
right? More awareness again.
Yeah, totally. And then you'll see, like you said, because, and as your frequency resonance rises, your, like what you experience will be different. So you'll have clarity because you're not so associated with your thoughts and emotions, where you will see that you do that. And you're like, well, whereas, say, for example, 6 months ago, you wouldn't have even noticed that that was a story. Yeah. It was just something that was true.
Yep.
Right? Yep. And then you start to examine these things. And the other thing, too, is that some people, this is where some people get caught. They really, they want certainty, okay? So they want to surrender, but they want certainty. They want to surrender, and so they kind of do this dance of like certainty, surrender, certainty. That's really can be hard, right? Where you're in this kind of like spin of like trying to surrender, but then trying to control the outcome of the surrender.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that can be a tough spiral.
Yeah.
And so at that point, it's really important to really take accountability, like you said, of those control patterns and like stalk them. Really, that's what I had to do. I was like, yeah, I am really just trying to get Chris to do what I want. Just, stop. You know what I mean? So I'd confirm, remove.
Yes.
Or if, for example, I would have self-doubt about something, you know? So, you know, I'm just in the kitchen by myself cleaning up after dinner, right? So I'm cleaning the dishes. And all of a sudden I had this like wave of self-doubt or whatever, you know, a couple of years ago. And I'd be sitting there. And then it would feel like really visceral, you know, like, oh, I'm not really all that, or, you know, I can't really do anything, or I'm not really affecting, whatever it was I was thinking, whatever, who cares, like some dumb thing that I was saying to myself. And I had to actually, for me at that point to confirm the removal, I had to say it out loud. I was like, that is not true. It is not true. And I wasn't talking to anyone. I mean, like, in my kitchen, doing my dishes.
Yeah, by yourself.
But I did it out loud because some of those deep distortion patterns can be hard. So sometimes I like to just take it, no, that is not true. Yes, it feels true, but it's not true. This is not true. And that can be sometimes required. So if you feel like you have to do that, you're not crazy town, do it, right? Because sometimes you need to vocalize like that, to like state outside of your own head, like hear your own voice saying that.
Yes, there's a power in that. And then there's an energy in your voice. I think Dr. Joe would always said to say change. Change, you know, or but yeah, using even your GFC on confirm the removal, and you know, I might actually even push. You mentioned that, yeah, you literally push it out, and you can feel it. Go. Yeah. Say it out loud. Push it out. Whatever you need to do.
Yeah. And then, of course, like as you ascend, your mind gets more quiet, which is awesome. You start to. It's funny, you know. One of my clients said, I become a very boring person because he's like, I don't drink anymore. I don't need to go out with a lot of people anymore. I don't need to, I mean, like, I like movies, but I don't need to watch them. He's like, what is going on with me? Like, I'm like a very boring person. And he's like, and I'm like, well, are you happy? Like, how are you doing? He's like, I'm happier than I've ever been with myself. I'm just content. Like, I'm really at peace. And I feel like my resonance keeps rising. And I'm like, okay.
It's like everyone else saying that we need to do all these things to be a cool person.
Yeah, or happy. And his wife was like, "Are you depressed?" He's like, "No, I'm like super happy.
I just don't need all these things outside of me to
make me happy."
Yeah,
exactly.
I already am.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah. And you'll also notice that when you experience things, that it's a lot more joyful. And you're not doing, and you'll notice things about yourself about like how much you've changed. So for example, one of my little hallmark distortion patterns was I was very competitive because I had a lot of low self-worth. Okay. Like very competitive. Yeah. So whenever we would play a game, I would never play games with Chris because he's very, very smart and he would always win. I'm like, I don't want to play with you because I know I'm going to lose and I don't like that. Yeah. Okay? So I would just never play games all the time. Yeah. So I would just never, and he likes playing games. So he's just like, all right, whatever. But now what's really fun, I didn't like think about this as a fun consequence. But now, because I'm much more neutral, I play for fun. Like it's kind of, I don't care whether I win or not, which is like a really big deal, by the way, for somebody who like was so staked on winning all the time, to not care and just enjoy the game is very, very big. Right? Yay. Like we went bowling the other night, which I haven't done in years. Yeah. And I'm a very bad bowler, just, for everyone to know. And I didn't like going bowling because I'm a bad bowler. And I would always lose. Yeah. But this time I was just like, all right, let's just bowl and see what happens. And so we bowled for a while. And then, I was tired. So I just sat out. I enjoyed everyone else's bowling. I cheered. It was fun. You know what I mean? Yay. But all that changes when we become less attached. That's one of the really wonderful things is because you're not trying to get an outcome. Yeah. Right? So you find liberation in all these little moments where you didn't have it before. And you didn't even realize that you were bound. You know what I mean? Like I didn't realize how much I was imprisoned by my need to win. Yeah. As opposed to just being able to enjoy whatever was happening. Like, does it care that does anyone here care that I throw gutter balls? No, everyone else is throwing gutter balls. Damn it, who cares? It's kind of just hilarious and funny. You know what I mean? Yes. But you see, like it's funny when we get caught up in that, we don't even realize how much that reduces our experience. And then when you release all these distortion patterns, you get to have something different. Yeah. So you'll get to experience more freedom in whatever way it shows up for you. So, in addition to some of the not so great pieces, and then you'll also have these flashes more and more of like wonder, awe, like the exquisite beauty of life. These moments of like, wow, I get to experience this life. So a lot of people I found who start on the journey of spiritual exploration, a lot of them try to get away from life, right? Because they don't like it. It's painful in some way. And we're trying to escape to somewhere else, and this whole thing about like you're trying to leave the body to go home, wherever that is, right? But it's funny, when you get to a certain point, or at least for me, what I'll say for myself, is when I got to a certain point, it turned. And it wasn't about escaping anymore. It was like, I get to have this life. I get to have it. And it's magnificent, And it's, yes, it's painful. I'm not saying it's like freaking glory all the time. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like even in the like not so great crunchy pieces, the times when you're too tired, the whatever and the whatever, because you're human, right? There's that. And even in that, there's this sort of like beauty of the humanness of it too, So
that is so important. I'm glad you mentioned that because, as we're doing this work, we call it work because it's hard. It's hard, It's like, oh, I got to keep doing this and this. And it gets easier for sure and less heavy or whatever. Yeah. But I really love that you mentioned that. Like, we're not trying to leave and go anywhere else. Like, we're here as a human. Yeah. Would you say that beauty, in the mundane, or I would call it the magic in the mundane. Totally. Would you say that is an example of connecting to your biggest self?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's what that is.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so when you connect to your biggest self, or for those of you who don't know what that is, connecting to the self as identified with spirit, as opposed to the little s self identified with the ego mind, when you see the beauty in things that are very normal or regular or overlooked, that's when you are experiencing spirit self, right? Where you see the beauty of life. It doesn't matter what it is. Everyone thinks, we all strive for these epic moments. There's epicness everywhere, in every moment. It's just that we're often not present enough to experience it, and our frequency resonance isn't high enough to
Or
experience it.
there's distortion in the way.
Well, exactly. So we don't see it, or we're not aware of it.